Hi. I just wanted to make a little video explaining a Wiccan altar. So what you see here is my personal altar. There are thousands of ways to make an altar. There's no really any right or wrong. There's some basics though, so we'll go over those. The basics are simple, really. Wiccan altars have representation of the four elements, earth, air, fire, water, sometimes in the four cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. I move a lot, so I don't always use a compass to find my cardinal directions. I probably should, but I don't. So I just have the representations. Another thing that's common on altars are the tools for the craft. So I have those as well. We'll go over those. Sometimes they have dual purpose for me. So what I'm gonna start with though is my incense. I have several different types of incense burners. Right now, one of my favorites is this backflow incense burner. So the little backflow cone goes right there on top, and I love this because I find it so meditative. It just puts me in the right headspace, both for working, for casting, as well as simply for, finding a few minutes every day. It does take a while for this stuff to light. And you can find these, they're really common at like head shops. I found this actually at Earthbound. Here we go. So, and the smoke will just flow right down those rocks. I'm using a jasmine and incense. It's one of my favorites. Just a beautiful, beautiful smell. So we'll move on to a very common other type of incense, which is, I'm sure everyone's seen these. They're just stick incense. I think these are sandalwood. Traditionally there would be 5 in this little holder I have. It's a jade holder. I'm a little short on incense at the moment. The pandemic has kept me from going out and picking up more, so I'm down to 4. That's okay. I do love this incense burner. It's really simple. I actually keep my incense in this box. And it's actually an incense burner as well. As you can see, I use it quite often. But I don't often put it on my altar, because it just takes up a lot of space. I do love it though, because it has this little secret compartment. It's hollow, and my incense lives in there. But not right now, because, as I said, I'm a little short on incense. So I'm not gonna light any of those sticks at the moment. The backflow actually produces a lot of smoke. So I have one more incense burner that I keep on my altar all the time. And it's this little guy. I picked him up in India several years ago. A cute little elephant with his little nose. And then he's got a secret as well. He's a cone incense burner. Turns into a little golden lotus, and a cone goes right in there. And I actually am gonna light this incense just because I love having this piece burning. And then when it's done, you just back together. But for right now, I'm gonna set this right here. And now I can't use the backflow incense on the cone incense burner. The backflow incense is like special or something. Some magic science there that makes it do what it does. So this is just a regular cone of incense. It's a Nag Champa, which is one of my favorites as well. These don't take as long to light as the other one does. Hopefully I'm not about to set off any smoke alarms or anything. That would be unfortunate. So that's just gonna sit in the little flower. So let's move on to tools. Let's start with representation of the elements. So one of the reasons that I love having incense burning is that it's a really good representation for fire on your altar. Of course, a lot of people like to have an actual flame. They have a candle, or I've seen lanterns. That was actually a really cool altar. They had an oil lantern in the back used as a representation for fire. But I enjoy using incense. I like the smell as well as the smoke. And so representation for fire. I have several representations for water. I found this beautiful, beautiful shell years ago. I was probably around 13 or so I've had it for a long time. It's one of my prized possessions, and so it's a symbol for water for me. I also use it to hold my sage, so I'll come back to the sage when we talk about tools. So I have several representations for earth. Stones are always a good representation for earth. This is a piece of amethyst. I love this piece. I don't know if the light's really gonna pick up all of the wonderful divots and just beautiful. And of course, stones make great representations for the earth because the earth made them. You can also use herbs. I'm a very big believer in herbs, and I have a whole collection. I wasn't gonna go over that in this video. Maybe if you guys are interested, I can go over my herb collection on a different day. So there's water, fire, earth, and air. So I use this as a representation for air. It is also a tool that is used for smudging, but as a representation for, oh, I messed up my smoke over there, as a representation for birds, flight, air movement. So now I guess we'll move on to tools. I think all of the tools I have on my altar are pretty typical for a Wiccan altar, but I'll start with one that I don't see all the time. So, in early paganism, maybe not early, but in Celtic paganism, the broom was a prominent tool, which is why the myth, which is fly on broomsticks and all that, is a thing. But a broom was used by a woman to move energy, or the idea of energy, sweep. You could sweep the threshold of your house, bad luck, evil spirits, all that out, protection, good luck, blessings in. I picked up this piece at a arts festival, handmade. I like that it can be handheld. Every time I set up an altar, I sweep the space in the 4 cardinal directions to create my circle. Just protect my space, make it sacred. Let's see. So next tool is, we'll talk about the chalice, which is also another symbol for water that I have on my. The chalice can be used in so many different ways. This piece is a repurposed. I picked it up at the same art fair. It's a repurposed old wine glass, probably goblet, however you want to say that. Somebody covered with pieces of amethyst. Again, that's my birthstone. It's a powerful piece for me. So, I don't typically, you can't drink anything out of this because of the way that it was made, but I keep things in it that need to stew for a little while, that need a little extra protection, all kinds of things. So, chalice, an Athame is another really common tool. An Athame is knife shaped, but you don't use it to cut anything. The idea of an Athame is to direct energy, to move energy, to stop or start energy. So I picked up this piece from a friend. It's beautifully carved obsidian, and I'm sure one of my rock friends could tell me exactly what kind of obsidian it is. It's got these just gorgeous flecks of gold in it. I'm glad the camera picked up at least a little bit of it. Just beautiful. Let's see, tools. So we'll talk about sage as a tool. So sage is technically, well, not technically, it is a Native American herb used for smudging, indigenous to southern states in America. Actually, I don't know if it's indigenous to there, but that's where a lot of it grows. This is a piece my friend grew herself. My heritage is actually Celtic, Irish. The Celtic pagans would grow, or would burn herbs and different types of wood and to smudge a space. Smudging refers to using smoke to remove unwanted energy, to provide protection, to invite in spirits or good luck, or however you want to say that. As a blessing, smoke cleansing is very common, so you would light this, wave it over someone, use this to direct the smoke, to cleanse them of any energy, any negative energy. The types of woods and herbs and that the Celts would have burned are very difficult to get in America, so I do use sage as an alternative. I do have a mortar pestle, very classic. It doesn't get a whole lot of practical use. There have been a couple of spells where I've needed to grind my own herbs. Very, very few. I think I've seen more use in the kitchen, but when you need it, there's nothing like a mortar and pestle, and it's just a very traditional tool for Celtic pagan. Let's see. I think that pretty much covers the tools that I have. Oh, I do have a beautiful piece of amethyst. I don't use divination tools very often, but every now and then I'll have a question for the universe, and I'll use this pendulum to see if I can find an answer. Just let's see. So representations of the goddess are also quite important on an altar. Well, they're important to me. You can have representations of whatever you want, but this serves a dual purpose, representation of the mother goddess, but it's also a little secret box, little puzzle thing. It's empty right now, but I use it whenever I need to meditate on something, perhaps a wish that I don't know is actually a good idea for me, perhaps a thought that needs, or a question that needs an answer. I'll write on a piece of paper, place it in here, let it stew for a little while, see if an answer comes to me. I also have representation of the goddess here. This looks like ivory. It even sort of sounds like ivory, but it's a nut. I thought that was fascinating. It's a piece of carved nut, in a very traditional form of the mother goddess with the moon. I'll try and set this up. It doesn't always like to stay there, but this is where I like it to live. So I picked this up, the Green Witch, at an art festival as well. It's a piece of handmade pottery, representation of, for me it's Bridget, but Gaia, Mother Earth, the Green Witch. I just thought it was a beautiful, beautiful piece. I do have several things on my altar that are not technically part of my faith, but are important to me nonetheless. For instance, I do have a Buddha here. Buddha is just a wonderful, wonderful belief system, and this was a gift from a very dear friend. So he lives just right here. Also good to have a little male representation on your altar, balance things out. I also have these, were a gift from my father when he went to Japan. They are intended to be meditative. The balls make a beautiful noise. Much prettier when you can actually do this correctly. But the exercise is supposed to be meditative. Also, like I said, my father gave it to me, and they're just important to me. So they live here. Some things just, they need sacred space. They need a sacred place to live. So, in the same vein, I spent some time working on the Navajo reservation in northern Arizona, working at the hospital there. And while I was there, I picked up several pieces that are important in that form of paganism. Although, the word paganism in reference to Native American religions might not be the best, to be honest. Picked up that rattle. Picked up this wonderful piece of pottery from a woman there. She hand makes her pottery, and it was just so beautiful. They have a sun face in the center there. I don't know the Navajo name for sun face, or the name for sun face in Navajo, I should say. So, he lives here. I also picked up, if you don't know anything about the tradition of sand painting among the Navajo, I would encourage you to Google that. Take a look at it. It is a fascinating, beautiful practice. So I bought this from a man who paints drawings that are commonly used in sand painting, and it's on a piece of indigenous shell, and he has a what would the word be? An index, I suppose, of what the images symbolize, what they mean. So I just thought this was beautiful, and like I said, these aren't part of my faith necessarily, but they needed someplace sacred to live, so this is where they live. I think that pretty much covers my altar. I have decorations, sun, moon, stars. Really, an altar is about finding sacred space within your space, finding the right mindset to connect with yourself, with the energies surrounding you, with the universe at large, and finding a way to bring that into a space that suits you. So this is my interpretation of that. Of course, like I said at the beginning, there are thousands of ways to do it. I've seen altars as elaborate as you can imagine, and I've seen altars that are absolutely gorgeous in their simplicity. But this was just a little tour of what I do. So I hope it was a little educational, if not educational, at least a little enjoyable, and well, blessed be.